is a New Testament, a Bible, which is red in cover, and its battered, is rather old, 1-inch thick.
Gordon, tell us about the place we're in now.
Well, we're in the cellars underneath Waterloo Station, and this is the central lost property office for the whole of Southern Region. So if you've lost any items on a train on Southern Region, they'll keep it on hand at the station. They find it out for perhaps a week, and then it all comes here. So if you've lost anything, this is the place to come.
Once it has arrived here, how long would you hold on to it?
Well, we keep it on hand for 3 months, and during that time we try to get hold of the owner, if we can find a name and address, or obviously people are contacting us, telling us that they've lost things, and we try and match up their inquiries with the property we've got on hand.
What's the kind of success rate of finding owners?
It's unfortunately very low. It's around about 18 to 20%.
Don't people claim all the time? Aren't people constantly ringing up?
I suspect they claim, but perhaps off their insurance company. But yes, there are a lot of inquiries. The biggest problem is that people don't actually tell us exactly what they've lost.
So if after 3 months you haven't got rid of a lot of this property, what happens to it then?
Well, we break it down and we try and organise a sale amongst our own staff for items which have a sale value. And if there's no value, it goes into a central depot in West London, where it goes for public auction.
Is there much extremely valuable lost property?
Oh, yes. Tremendous value sometimes. I mean, I've known watches up to £1,000 in value to be lost on trains.
Good heavens, and is that all kept here too?
Yes, but we've got a strong room for that.
So Gordon, just tell me about some of the items you've got here.
Well, it never ceases to amaze me the number of keys that people lose on Southern Region. I just have hundreds and hundreds of keys every day. Then we've got wallets and small purses and...
What happens to the money from the wallets?
Well, the money for these we keep in safekeeping for the owner if he comes forward, and if he doesn't, we keep it.
What, you keep the money?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Glasses are another source of amusement to us. That's just a 10 days collection of glasses on Southern Region.
And no one's rung up to claim them?
Well, they haven't been able to identify them.
Probably haven't been able to see the numbers on the phone to dial.
Now, in fact, we get so many glasses during the course of the year that we've done an arrangement with Staines Rotary Club, and they organise sending our leftover glasses out to the Third World.
What, after they've been here for 3 months?
That's right.
And this is a sackful that you've collected already?
Yeah, this is waiting to go out.
There are hundreds in here. I suppose a pair like this might go down quite well in Calcutta or somewhere, maybe. No? No, maybe not. Well, look, a pair of stilts.
Yes?
How can someone leave a pair of stilts on the train?
I've gone beyond asking. We get everything.
Extraordinary. What else is there?
Well, it's been fairly mild this last month or so, and but these are just 6 days' worth of scarves left on Southern Region.
Quite nice scarves too.
Yes, some nice colours, good quality ones.
Oh.
And ski sticks are a regular find on trains to and from Gatwick, usually.
Yeah, particularly at this time of year, I suppose.
That's right. And for the unlucky skier, I suppose we can always fit him up with some crutches.
Were these poles and crutches found at the same time?
No.
How can someone who's on crutches actually manage to get off a train without them?
I don't know, but they do it fairly regularly. During the course of the year, we get probably about 2 dozen or so.
And here you've got, what, half a bicycle?
Yes, I don't know what's happened to the front wheel, but we've got a load of bicycles complete with wheels.
Do you get many large items left
Yes,
behind?
we've had a 40-foot hang glider before now, and a surfboard.
How do they get a 40-foot hang glider on the train in the first place?
Well, it's probably left in the guard's van and just overlooked when they got to the end of their journey.
And what's this all thing?
Well, this is one Honda motorcycle, and that's been on hand now for a couple of months, so up for sale shortly. And in fact, my area operations manager is quite interested in buying this.
I can't believe no one's claimed it.
That's quite right. And during the course of the year, we get enough musical instruments to set up our own string quartet.
Oh, that's nicely in tune still.
Yes,
as well.
yes.
And of course, what I always think of in lost property offices, thousands upon thousands of umbrellas.
Yes, I mean, everywhere you go in this place, there's umbrellas.
That must be a real nightmare.
Yes, and coats. I mean, loads and loads of coats. Would you like a barber?
Oh. Very nice.
Or somebody else has lost a very nice barber raincoat.
Burberry, you mean? Yes, it's very nice as well.
And here we have a very good quality sheepskin jacket.
Very nice. Not quite my cup of tea, perhaps. I'll tell you what is more my cup of tea is something like this, because it is mine.
Thank you, Rob. Right, back to the serious side of life now. At the beginning of this week, We were telling you all about the Bedford line into London, the incident involving the gang of steamers who surged down the train, systematically beating and robbing the passengers on board. Well, since then, there have been calls for tougher measures to be taken to beef up the security on the railway, ranging from guardian angel patrols to the installation of panic buttons. Today, British Rail saying that they can't stop the guardian angels as long as the guardian angels buy a ticket to travel. The British Transport Police are therefore under a lot of pressure at the moment. Let's go now live over to Penny Bustin, who is talking to Inspector Stephen White. Penny.
Obviously, Inspector, we'd like to hear your views about the prospect of guardian angels on the railways. However, can we first put your role in context and clarify your powers? Do you have more or less powers than an ordinary police officer?
Well, as our name implies, the British Transport Police, we are simply another police force. We have exactly the same powers as any other police force. We are responsible for policing the rail network, which of course is nationwide and therefore demands a national police force.
This week, we're obviously aware of the steaming incident on the King's Cross to Bedford line. We're all aware of the violence on the Underground. But this is a large inner-city area. Do you have that sort of problem here? No, we don't have that particular problem here. What we do have is the usual public order situation. Really what it is every Friday and Saturday night, for instance, large groups of young people go out and drink intoxicating liquor. They board trains then to go home, and therefore you get drunkenness, you get fighting, rowdiness, that sort of thing. So steaming around here is an unknown event? That is correct, and can I say that I've been a police officer for 23 years, both in the towns and on the railway, and public order has always been the same. People always will get drunk. Do people around here fear being mugged? Because that's a very real fear in other parts of the country. I think if you ask anybody that question, if they fear being mugged, they'll probably say yes. Even the old lady living in Devon will probably say that. But if you look at it statistically, then mugging is not a problem in this area. Now, what do you think about the prospect of the guardian angels, say, patrolling on trains in this area? Well, of course, it's every citizen's duty to help the police. But personally, if we're going to go down that road, I would prefer a body such as special constables that are trained and controlled by the police. You don't think that the guardian angels could help you in any way? They could emphasise what you do? Well, it's like anything else. Just because you have more men doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be effective if they're not properly deployed on the troubled trains. So you could have guardian angels travelling on trains and not making much significance. In fact, they could cause problems, in my opinion. In your opinion, do you need more officers? Would that help the pressure that you're under? Well, of course, we always need more officers, but what we must do and what we are doing is deploying the officers we've got effectively, and that's finding out where the problem is and then policing those particular trains. We've heard this week calls from MPs for panic buttons and surveillance equipment on trains. Do you think that would help? Well, I think communication is the key, certainly. Let me say, in my opinion, on intercity trains, for instance, where distances between stations are quite great, guards should be equipped with telephones so that they can ring the British Transport Police direct, and then we can be on hand. And also, we are considering a scheme similar to Neighbourhood Watch, where regular rail passengers, particularly businessmen with their own telephones, portable telephones, are given our telephone numbers and encouraged to ring us on board when there's any trouble. Thank you very much for joining us. That's from a rather noisy Platform 11 back to Paul.
Thank you. It's just as noisy here, let me tell you. Well, it seems that Smithy has disappeared. We've lost him, which is very sad, but it's actually terrific, because I've been wanting to nick his chair all week. Let me take you back to 5:30 this morning, the story of Red Star Parcels and the beginning of a very busy day for them. Now, we sent our intrepid nighttime reporter, Malcolm McCaig, to have a look at the weird and wonderful objects that they transport all around Britain. Did he chicken out? Well, we egged him on anyway.
Every night, British Rail's Red Star parcel service carries hundreds of thousands of the most amazing variety of packages. For really urgent goods, you can even have guaranteed overnight delivery.
Can I go look for my ducks? You've got some ducks for me. Lynn. OIWN. Berry Bush.
Running a door-to-door delivery service by train is fine if you both live in a railway station. But for the rest, the service has to dovetail rail and road transport. 70% of Red Star parcels are delivered on by van, either British Rail's own or those belonging to a courier with a Red Star contract. Most of the time, everything runs on rails. But when things began to wobble on the northern end of our bit of the railway, parcels supervisor George McCarty had to fill the gap between theory and practice.
Mr. McCarty, what's our problem now?
It's the computers have actually lost communication with the mainframe in Blandford House. The main disk, where all your tapes are kept on, you know.
As George's problems start to mount, so do the parcels. This was the night severe weather in the north of the country played havoc with train schedules. But by 8 o'clock, things were almost back to normal.
All sorts of things get carried away on the railway. Packets of every conceivable size, shape and description. One doesn't like to pry too closely into other people's affairs, you understand, but you'd be quite amazed at what gets sent by train. Through here this morning, we've had birds, frogs, even live maggots. Bait for fishermen, I suppose, further north. Here's a veterinary surgeon's field kit. Not addressed to a Mr. Herriot, I see. And this thing, I'm amazed he didn't send it by airmail. It must weigh 100 weight, I can't even lift it. And once he's got all his immediate problems of the morning out of the way, George McCarty turns out to be quite a computer buff.
There's also a keyboard with these problems, but they are brought up and brought into operation through BT, through a dialing system.
But when the computer's down, you can still handle parcels here, by the old method, I suppose.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. But that involves an awful lot of work, and it's like going back to the Stone Age of the dinosaurs. You know, it's really a great miss when it goes down.
Frogs, maggots and now dinosaurs, a parcels office that begins to sound like Noah's Ark. And those ducks?
Small, semi-ornamental duck. And I just keep them for fun. And these have come from Hampshire. So they started their journey yesterday lunchtime. Now, the chickens are on their way up to Inverness. They're from my next door neighbour. And they're just...
You breed them, or...?
Yes, but in a terribly small way. It's just a hobby. But, you know, Red Star's jolly useful.
And in a week in which we've seen British Rail have more than a few problems, 2 satisfied customers at least.
Malcolm McCaig, first thing this morning, around about 5:30. The train behind me making all the noise is the 3 o'clock from Leeds to King's Cross. We're, just a few seconds away now from 3 o'clock, so it should be taking off probably during our interview we're going to do here. There we are, the whistle that tells the signal box that the train is ready to leave. The TRS, they call it, which is the train ready to start signal, has been sent to them, and this train will probably set off as we speak. I want to talk about customer care now, and with me 3 people who are responsible for that to greater or lesser degrees. First of all, with me is Heidi Morton, the Assistant Station Manager. Now, Heidi, what are your duties here?
Well, as Assistant Station Manager here, I'm primarily responsible for overseeing all the staff and the train movements in the station. Not on a day-to-day minute, that's done by the coordinating supervisor, but I'm responsible for making connectional decisions to make sure that trains coming in, passengers can get on to further services, we don't leave them behind, and of course looking after those passengers who for whatever reason get themselves into trouble en route on their journey, and generally making sure that they have a pleasant journey.
I think I caught about half of that, Heidi. Well, at least they got out on time. Now, you haven't come through the traditional route of your family having been with British Rail before. You're actually a graduate entrant, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. I studied geography at Hull University, and as part of my degree, I actually studied transport geography and looked into rail systems, how they link with other rail systems, why railways are built where they are, and that was sort of the initial spark of interest in coming to work for BR.
What is the career structure for you? What do you go on to do?
Well, within BR, there's many different aspects I can go into from here. We have a specific grading structure, but within that there are a number of jobs. So I could go from here to being not an assistant station manager, but a station manager of a large station, or go completely different, go onto the freight side. So it's very, very varied.
All right, Heidi, thank you very much indeed. Beside you, Tony Gleed, the coordinating supervisor. Tony, we had a great rush hour this morning. We've seen a little bit of that. You're now in a kind of hiatus. What do you do now?
Well,
My job basically is to make the station run smoothly, and I'm here to iron out any snags should they occur with a minimum delay to our travelling public.
All right, get things ready for tonight. So it's during the rush hour everything goes smoothly, right?
Well, hopefully, yes.
Of course it will, I'm sure. Next to you is Reg Stevenson, Customer Care Supervisor. You're responsible for the disabled getting on the train, but I think you want to stress that they must let you know beforehand if they're travelling.
Well, this is always advisable because it gives us more time to organise the distance from the train. If a passenger's coming in by one train, is to be met at the train side, detrained, taken to another platform so the other train is travelling forward on if necessary. And this means occasionally going over by the lifts on the station, which are commonly known as goods lifts, but they are also passenger lifts. We take them over off one train onto the other train, make them seated and make sure that communication is given to where the passenger is leaving.
Reg, thank you very much indeed. And we should stress that the bad old image was that wheelchairs, when put on the train, had to go in the guard's van. Well, that has been vastly updated now, and most of these train carriages have removable seats so that wheelchairs can go in there. Right now, let's leave platform 5 and go to the relative quietness of the signal box. And Mike, I think it is.
Yeah, look where I found myself now. I couldn't help it. This is like going back to the days of radio here. This is Mary, who is a train information clerk, correct?
Yes.
You used to be known as the station announcer, but it's now train information clerk. How long have you been doing your job?
Oh, about 15 years up here.
Did you audition for it?
Yes.
What did they do?
Well, they gave you a voice test, and then you went down to the concourse, and everybody listened to it.
Really?
So,
well, all these management all went down
no,
to the
not all
platform?
management, but certain people did.
Certain people listened to you.
Yeah.
Do you ever get nervous doing this job?
No, no.
Bit of a responsibility. You could
Yeah.
send people to the totally the wrong
Oh,
platform,
we do,
couldn't you?
yeah, but
Yeah.
we'll try and get them back again.
Well, I'm going to do an announcement here. I'm supposed to be doing an announcement here. I'll just press this button here. This apparently goes out to the whole railway station, so we'll never find out what happens here. I'm supposed to be saying... I'm about to say that the train that'll be leaving from platform 6 at 15:05 is going to Bristol, and it'll be calling at Wakefield Westgate, Sheffield, Chesterfield, Derby, Burton-on-Trent, Birmingham, New Street, Cheltenham Spa, Bristol Parkway and Bristol Temple Meads. And I'd like to say thank you to everybody at Leeds Railway Station for helping us out today. There we are. If you're on a platform, smile at the camera because you're live on BBC Railwatch. And they're not even listening to me. Look at that. Well, there we are. That's Railwatch for today. Mary, thank you for letting me loose on the equipment. Oh, left the microphone switched on. Thank you for joining us today. We will be with you tomorrow. Where are we going to tomorrow? We're going off to the East Coast Main Line, which is, of course, going through York. We will be taking a look at the overhead electric wire. Now, that, at the moment, runs all the way from London to here at Leeds. Shortly, it's being extended up between Doncaster and Edinburgh. So we'll be looking at the new facilities they have there, generally looking to the future of British Rail tomorrow as well. Other things we'll be looking at, apart from the railways, we'll be talking to the research people at Derby, which is the research centre for British Rail, a view of the longer-term future there, and a sneak preview of some of the train shapes of tomorrow. So if you want to see that, please do join us for Railwatch tomorrow at 2:15 on BBC One. Mary, is there anything you'd like to say to anybody else on the platform? Have you got any announcements to make before we go? Quick announcement? No?
No, not really.
You're supposed to know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on. This is your job. Wonderful control panel and total power over people walking around the platforms. Thank you for today. We will see you tomorrow at 2:15 on BBC One. Don't be late for another date with the live Railwatch team and anybody else we can find to join in with the programme.
The 15:07 train to Goole will depart from platform 10A.